Good morning to you. Good morning to you. This will be a very special day.
Doctor, how is he doing?
Oh, he's suffered so many blows. His little heart can't take it. The best thing we can do now is pray for the little fella.
Yes, it's been quite the week. It started by seeing his fellow gamers who tried to sue Microsoft for the ABK deal, getting the lawsuit dismissed in court.
God certainly loves a trier, and these are trying times. But try not to upset the laddie too much.
Well, I wish I could say things got better from there.
They didn't though, did they?
Well, when asked by the CMA for remedies, and if the 10-year deal was sufficient, Microsoft responded that it's ample time for Sony to develop an alternative to Call of Duty.
Sweet Jesus, man. Can you not say it a bit more kind? Well, if it's so easy, why don't Xbox just make a competitor instead of buying Call of Duty?
Well, Call of Duty comes as one part of the deal. The real focus has always been gaining a bigger footprint in mobile gaming. Of course, they have already established their own competitor in the form of Halo, one of the most recognized gaming IPs in the world.
Well, why not just give Call of Duty to Sony? Oh, you look at the poor lad.
Well, they effectively are doing that with the 10-year deal.
Is that right, is it? And what happens in the 11th year?
Well, presumably it's only making such large amounts of revenue because it's on all platforms. The leading sales being PlayStation, a console that's already tens of millions ahead of Xbox. And 10 years presumably brings us around this time next gen, where you'd think there'd be a similar gap in sales, if not more so.
Of course, they had those stock issues, didn't they? Or half I couldn't get one for the Christ of God.
Indeed. So under the scenario where Call of Duty is taken from PlayStation at that 11th year, halving its revenue, and being 3 years into the generation, there's every possibility Sony could have a viable competitor against it on its platform, be it their own, or a third party like Battlefield. I mean, where was Fortnite 10 years ago?
Did you hear that? It may not be the end of the world after all.
Xbox has no games.
Oh, he's got a strong will, this one.
And then there's Redfall.
People care about Redfall now, do they?
Its creative director Harvey Smith reportedly saying that the game was planned for PlayStation, until Microsoft told them to cancel that plan.
Oh, it's like a whore in the brothel house. Just one blow after the other.
Yes, but it is pretty standard for most third-party games that end up getting exclusivity deals. Odds are they were initially planned for multiple platforms, Sony themselves doing this often enough.
Oh, yeah, shush. I'm sure those games wouldn't have existed without Sony, lad.
Lies of P.
Microsoft then released a statement claiming that they haven't pulled games from PlayStation. In fact, they've expanded on their games since buying ZeniMax.
Surely they're not suggesting the contractual obligations.
Well, they have kept supporting their live service games, updated their contracted games to fall in line with the eventual Xbox releases, and placed new Minecraft games on the PlayStation. It is not ideal, though, to have any negative spin right now. One can only wonder Phil Spencer's reaction.
Well. It seems you've been a naughty boy.
Please, I was just answering a question.
The big man's not very happy. Sees you as a grass.
But it was the one that he gave me for everyone.
You hear, but you don't listen.
Can't we just release it for them at a later date?
Seems we have a communication problem. I can help with that.
I'm sure it was fine.
What a week.
Yes. And then there was the news the CMA pretty much passed the ABK deal. don't be giving up yet now. There's still a chance we can help Call of Duty come to Game Pass. Good morning, Internet. In other news, Microsoft was going to release an Xbox Mini, instead preferring to release a fridge and a toaster. Redfall previews are off to a great start, along with welcome news that they're removing the always online requirement. Unreal 5 event demonstrates the engine's impressive facial capture techniques. What would once take months now takes 5 minutes.
I see through your darkness now. I see through your lies. I will show them how to see as I do.
Wow. American FTC's established rules of ignoring Nintendo comes back to bite Sony, as US senators say Sony has a 98% monopoly in Japan that needs looking into. Meanwhile, Maria Cantwell's top contributor just so happens to be Microsoft. And in a much needed win this week for Sony fans, Metacritic crowned Sony Best Gaming Publisher 2022. Microsoft not even making the list. Now here's Raccoon with Twittery Corner.
This week on Twittery Corner, we're going to go through some reactions on this tweet. So let's see what this little cherub has to say. He tweets IGN. PS5 version of Redfall was in the works, was scrapped after Microsoft came in and bought Bethesda. Microsoft walked in and said, no PS5, we're focused on an Xbox and PC. Phil Spencer pulled game from PS5. And then he links all the governing bodies, because I'm sure he's a stand-up swell guy, and just looking after us gamers. I'm sure. Pathetic. Microsoft is the worst publisher of all time. And people cry about Final Fantasy 16 is not coming from Xbox. I'll trust these people. Microsoft caught out in more lies. A company not to be trusted. Phil the fraud strikes again. Sony is right not to trust Microsoft. I just hate Microsoft. So Redfall was taken away from PlayStation users. Just like Starfield. I'll cry about it. Let me help you with more insight, ready? Development of Redfall has started a year prior to the $7.5 billion acquisition. It's not very serious. It's even a good decision, I think. Smith said of dropping the PS5 version. It's to help us support Game Pass and have one less platform to worry about, one less complexity. He added, Game Pass has a ton of players. It could become our biggest game thanks to the 30 million, where I can't remember the exact number, of subscribers. Yeah, I guess it could. How long those 30 million subscribers engaged for, I guess it's a different matter. This is lies. Phil Spencer said he wants to reach more gamers. He does, just not on PlayStation. Game Pass, baby. If Sony allowed it, they would get it. Sony pulls games and Microsoft pulls games. I'm sick of hearing all this complaining. I'll play Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man on PlayStation or PC. I'll not play Redfall and Starfield on Xbox or PC. That sucks for Redfall. Less revenue for it now. Pirated on PC and rented on Xbox. I wonder why these never appeared on Xbox. Let's see what it has to say. According to one of Microsoft's many documents on the situation, initially spotted by Career Xbox News, Sony has struck a deal with several third-party companies to prevent some of their games being released on Xbox. One of the most notable of these games has to be Bloodborne, which has remained PlayStation exclusive since 2015, despite the fact that other From Software games, minus Demon Souls, have launched on PC and Xbox. More concerningly, Microsoft claims that Sony struck similar deals to prevent Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 16 and Silent Hill 2 Remake from appearing on Xbox. Yeah, they all do it. Project Eve, also known as Stellar Blade, was announced for Xbox in the trailer. Lena Khan can watch the old trailer and see that it was announced for Xbox, and PlayStation pulled it from Xbox. Then he's even gone as far as circling the Xbox. Well, trying to circle it. I don't remember seeing any announcement for Redfall being released on PlayStation, unlike Stellar Blade, which had an announcement for Xbox and Sony bought exclusivity. They're keeping that same Sony energy as all. Now do Final Fantasy VII Remake, Spider-Man, Shenmue 3, Street Fighter V, Stellar Blade, Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop, and I can go on. Exclusivity is a cancer all around. You're not mad that exclusive exists as a concept, you're mad that your platform is now the one being excluded. What happened to the Xbox version of Stellar Blade, you loser? What would if it wasn't planning to release on PS5? Yeah, that would be quite worrying. The profits from Microsoft buying Bethesda, potentially Activision Blizzard, don't make much sense keeping exclusives, as PlayStation users will be their only source of profit, if all exclusives are going to be on Game Pass. Got both consoles, so I'll be playing Redfall either way. Well, I guess you must be playing on Game Pass for free. There's nothing saying they won't release it for PS5 though. I mean, it could be timed exclusive to Xbox. But I thought that since it didn't get announced for PS5, surely it wasn't being developed for it. Either way, it doesn't matter since Microsoft has acquired them. Also, this more or less confirms that Starfield was in development for the PS5 and got cancelled. Phil Lyon Spencer strikes again, but I thought it didn't matter because Microsoft has acquired them. Well, good thing it did, lol. It would have had an even bigger delay, lol. Oh, this guy was really amused by his own message. This acquisition, Bethesda, is about bringing exclusive content to the Xbox ecosystem. This is what Phil said when they bought Bethesda. How is this at all relevant to the ABK purchase? Ugh. And then there's a Kotaku article. Exclusives are completely counter to what gaming is about, Xbox Phil Spencer says. In 2020, before they bought everything. Can't wait to see more popular games skipping PlayStation. I'm disappointed, even as an Xbox user. While I do understand Microsoft's decision to make certain games exclusive to Xbox, they definitely could have handled it better. I think a lot of people may have been fine with X content in Redfall, without restricting the game to only Xbox. But then there's people that enjoy third-party exclusive content on PlayStation, who are complaining about lack of parity. Xbox fanboys finally realising Microsoft doesn't actually care about gamers, because they're a $1 trillion business, and they just don't care about PlayStation gamers. But Microsoft said that they would not do such a thing. How can this be? Well, they also said case-by-case basis. LMAO, these clowns on Xbox are now speechless. Self-destruction. It's the same for Starfield. It was announced for Xbox and PS4 a while ago, and then suddenly it was Xbox exclusive. It was never announced for either of those systems. I'm glad you're starting to tag all the above, especially the regulators, because they need to see this guy's trying to ruin gaming, because he's a bad leader. Well, no, he's just trying to ruin PlayStation gaming. OMFG, he's also adding government Twitter handles in here, LMAO. Are you going to tell the regulators? That's the question. Man, regulators must be so annoyed getting constantly tagged by delusional fanboys who try to push bad faith narratives. At the right time for regulators to show that MS is acting in bad faith. Funny, it was never announced on PS5, so therefore it wasn't pulled from PS5. That's like saying Final Fantasy XVI was pulled from Xbox because they surely was going to make an Xbox version, but Sony said no. Okay, and look at all the things that were in development for Xbox that later changed. See, I would care, but Sony has done that a number of times. If they shared a trailer with a PS5 logo, you would have something, Lance Dragon. But they didn't remember Project Eve, the Stellar Blade game that officially showed Xbox had a port canned by Sony. If you're anti-buying exclusives, you need to call it out, Lance Dragon. But this guy's certainly got away with words. Game was never on PS5, so it wasn't pulled from it. But Sony would have made Redfall exclusive for a year. Microsoft just had the bigger wallet. You are a huge loser. Was Redfall announced for PS5? Yes, no. No. Just get an Xbox. And that's where we'll leave it this week. This has been Twittery Corner.
Depending on when you are, where you are, and who you are, good morning, good evening, and good night.
Well, we hear a lot of the term gaming for everyone, but I want to know, what does that mean when you think about gaming for everyone? Like, what does that term mean to you?
You know, we talked a little bit actually on stage on Sunday about this, about the community of gamers, and I think E3 is such just an awesome representation of that, of us coming together as an industry, watching all the press briefings, going and playing everybody's games, and the feeling that we get as we come together to cooperate or compete when we play. And I think sometimes we put up unnatural barriers to more people being able to play. So for us, you know, one of the things we did this year was the Xbox Adaptive Controller, if people have seen that. And thanks. Yeah. But that's, I think, in the team that worked on that is just an awesome example of a dedicated team inside of our group that looked at the opportunity to bring more people into make it easier for everybody to play. But it's not just physical hardware like that. There's things, as you know, we do with our services. There's things around language and translation and toxicity, that are important, because we don't want to make gaming vanilla. We don't want to make gaming the same for everybody, but as somebody who goes online and plays games, or somebody who's making decisions about what games you want to play, we want you to feel like you have the choices to make the experience right for you.